De los Estados Unidos ha estado revelando información muy valiosa acerca de las negociaciones entre Rusia y Ucrania y sobre todo el peso de los Estados Unidos como parte de esta investigación. En el mitin de prensa de la cadena NBC, el vicepresidente J.D. Vance ha dicho claramente que Rusia ha hecho concesiones significativas al presidente de los Estados Unidos en el camino para conseguir la negociación final del tema de Ucrania. Hay mucha gente que dice que Putin se sigue burlando. Toda la prensa de los Estados Unidos, incluida la cadena NBC, ha hecho una gran campaña para hacer quedar al presidente de los Estados Unidos como el gran estúpido, como el gran tonto. Hay algo muy concreto y hay algo muy importante en este momento. La única persona que está en condiciones de sentarse al habla para aplacar la ira de esta guerra que está cobrando vidas entre Rusia y Ucrania es el presidente Trump. No porque sea el mejor de todos, aunque pudiera serlo. Aquí hay otro elemento que es más importante. El presidente Putin no encuentra a ningún otro líder de poder y respeto mundial que considere él que esté a su altura como para él sentarse a negociar el tema de la guerra con Ucrania. Yo quiero que se tenga en claro que se están moviendo muchas cosas, que hay mucho más que la información que se publica y por eso es tan importante escuchar lo que va desgranando poquito a poco, migajas, pero que dan luz, personas como el vicepresidente de los Estados Unidos que está directamente relacionado con esta negociación. Aquí está liderando la negociación el presidente Trump. Además, es muy importante el rol de Marco Rubio como secretario de Estado, el rol del propio vicepresidente J.D. Vance y además el rol de Witkoff, quien es una persona que ha viajado frecuentemente como emisario de los Estados Unidos a Moscú para clarificar este tema de la negociación. Esto es parte de lo que ha dicho el vicepresidente J.D. Vance en la cadena NBC. Evidencia.
I think the Russians have made significant concessions to President Trump for the first time in 3.5 years of this conflict. They've actually been willing to be flexible on some of their core demands. They've talked about what would be necessary to end the war. Of course, they haven't been completely there yet, or the war would be over, but we're engaging in this diplomatic process in good faith. We are trying to negotiate as much as we can with both the Russians and the Ukrainians to find a middle ground to stop the killing. I think what the president has tried to do here is try to engage in very aggressive, very energetic diplomacy because this war is not in anyone's interest. It's not in Europe or the United States' interest. We don't think it's in Russia or Ukraine's interest to keep going. So we're going to keep on pushing for a diplomatic solution. And one final point about this, Kristen, if you look historically, whenever you have a complicated war with a lot of death and destruction, it kind of goes in fits and starts. There are hills and valleys to the negotiation. We sometimes feel like we've made great progress with the Russians, and sometimes, as the president has said, he's been very frustrated with the Russians. And we're going to keep on doing what we have to do to bring this thing to a close. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think that we're going to continue to make progress, but ultimately, whether the killing stops, that determination is going to belong to whether the Russians and the Ukrainians can actually find some middle ground here.
Aquí hay una línea importante en lo que está diciendo el vicepresidente. Ha dejado claro, no creemos que sea de interés para Rusia o Ucrania seguir adelante con esta guerra. Esto no va a resolver ningún problema para ninguna de las dos partes. Hay un estancamiento, hay un desgaste. Esto necesita detenerse. La periodista de NBC está hablando del alto al fuego, ha dicho Rusia se ha negado a hacer el alto al fuego que ha pedido Trump. En otro momento el presidente Trump pidió el alto al fuego. Después de la reunión en Alaska, la postura del presidente Trump es otra. El presidente estaría apostando por una paz duradera no por un alto al fuego que sea más efímero y que pueda romperse sin que se consiga ningún tipo de acuerdo. Tanto Rusia como Ucrania continúan haciéndose daño como parte de esta guerra. El tema del alto al fuego no fue el asunto más importante de lo que se comenzó a negociar en la cumbre de Alaska. Aquí sigue dando información el vicepresidente de los Estados Unidos. Evidencia.
Well, so we're in the very early stages of an ongoing investigation into John Bolton. I will say we're going to let that investigation proceed. What I can tell you is that unlike the Biden DOJ and the Biden FBI, our law enforcement agencies are going to be driven by law and not by politics. And so if we think that Ambassador Bolton has committed a crime, of course, eventually prosecutions will come. But as you know, Kristen, this is all part of gathering evidence, trying to understand something that we're worried about. And of course, I'll let the FBI comment on the next stage of the investigation.
What's at the root of this? Is this about classified documents?
Well, again, I'll let the FBI speak to that. Classified documents are certainly part of it, but I think that there's a broad concern about Ambassador Bolton. They're going to look into it. And like I said, if there's no crime here, we're not going to prosecute it. If there is a crime here, of course, Ambassador Bolton will get his day in court. That's how it should be. But again, our focus here is on, did he break the law? Did he commit crimes against the American people? If so, then he deserves to be prosecuted.
As we have this conversation, has Ambassador Bolton been detained, taken into custody, arrested in any form?
So this news just broke this morning, and the FBI, I haven't talked to the FBI this morning. I don't know the answer to that question. I assume that he hasn't been detained and won't be detained until there's an actual prosecution, if that actually happens.
Salta el tema de Bolton porque fue lo más trascendente durante el fin de semana, el allanamiento de la morada de Bolton, quien fue cercano al presidente Trump en el primer mandato. Tuvo una ruptura con él que fue desequilibrante en la primera administración, se convirtió en un francotirador en contra del presidente de los Estados Unidos y ahora lo último que ha hecho es publicar libros donde ha estado manejando información que podría ser muy dañina por manejar códigos de seguridad nacional. Continúa hablando el vicepresidente J.D. Vance. Evidencia.
If we bring a case, and of course we haven't done that yet, the Department of Justice has not done that yet, we are investigating Ambassador Bolton, but if they ultimately bring a case, it will be because they determine that he has broken the law. We're going to be careful about that. We're going to be deliberate about that because we don't think that we should throw people, even if they disagree with us politically, maybe especially if they disagree with us politically, you shouldn't throw people willy-nilly in prison. You should let the law drive these determinations, and that's what we're doing.
But you know, a lot of people have already looked at this and said, this looks a lot like retribution. Is this retribution?
Well, who has said it looks a lot like retribution, Kristen? A lot of people who tried to throw Donald Trump in prison for completely fake charges that were later thrown out by multiple different courts. I suspect that if the media and the American people let this case actually unfold, if they let the investigation unfold as it's currently doing, they're going to find out that what we're doing is being very deliberate and being very driven by the national interest and by the law here, and that's as it should be.
Toda esta información va apuntando al panorama, cómo se está moviendo el tema dentro de los Estados Unidos. Hacemos una breve pausa, regresamos enseguida.